First of all, it's so nice to see you guys. You guys look lovely, all of you, and I'm so happy. I was expecting three of you, but I was expecting a cat to be placed over. So I'm very happy Luke could
Everyone
join
wants to
us.
speak to Annie. Everyone wants to speak to the cats. They're doing interviews somewhere else all day, so
They're in another room.
they're in another room.
I feel like it would be a really nice promotional thing to have a cat sitting over there answering interview questions. So speaking of the cat, I feel like my first question should go to Luke. I'm really curious to know what was your audition process like and your initial impression when you first read the script and read about Jizzlord. And what was your acting ritual like? Was your primary source of research based solely on the script? Or did you sort of go out of your way and research about cat videos on the internet in order to learn their behavioral patterns?
That is a fantastic question. It was a really interesting role to approach because I felt like all the stuff you might expect to do to prepare for a role, like, learn about them and make decisions about them and work out what relationships other characters are. Like, I just had to not know or like ignore as much as possible, which was like, like research, etc. Like this person doesn't really know anything about anything. Which for me, as someone who this is like for all of us, it's like our first like big role, really. I really was in an environment where I didn't know what was going on any of the time, which was actually like was really nice because it brought my experience so in line with the characters. But I didn't really have much I could draw on, really, and I didn't want to know too much, and I didn't want to like. I've never been interested in like trying to work out for myself like what his past is, like asking the writer, because it wouldn't be particularly useful for me as an actor. So then my prep became a lot more about like stuff that I was experiencing on set. All of it's meant to be like an alien environment to him anyway. This is weird, but I started like collecting things from set. I don't know if they know. I started just stealing little things off set. And then in my room, I had like a little drawer with like a bouncy ball in it, like a fag end, a sugar cube from the funeral. And just like, I'd just try and nick something and just see if anyone would notice. And then they'd be like, sorry, I'm missing a sugar cube here. And I'd be like, so I just started like squirreling things away, and then some of that stuff ends up being in the show. Like I think you see like he sleeps in the bath. So for me, and I did sleep in the bath one night in my house. Yeah, I slept in my house. Yeah, I spent a day trying to not use my thumbs because he struggles with his thumbs, and then I slept in the bath one night. My housemates were very worried about me.
You have like it dripping onto your toes or something.
Yeah, I kind of got like a kind of sad wet foot. But yeah, it basically.
Sorry.
I slept for like 3 hours and I thought, oh, back to bed now. Yeah. Then I went back to bed. Much better. So that's an experiment. I've done that now.
Okay.
But yeah. So I guess it was like a very unusual kind of preparation. But actually, for me, my background's less like drama school and acting anyway. So in a way that felt quite appropriate for me.
That's a wonderful answer, and you did absolutely well. Jizzlord is one of my favorite characters. I love him. And my next question has to be for Sofia. One of the most unique things for me in terms of the show was right at the beginning of the show, the way they introduced your character. Carrie possesses the ability to talk to spirits and ghosts from the other world. Meanwhile, she is such a sweet person, and she gets to interact with all these strange souls. So what did you think about this contradictory nature between her power as well as her personality? Because the power that you have usually is perceived as to be having some sort of sinister undertone to it, but your character is just the exact opposite. So I'm very curious to know, what did you personally think about this?
That's a really brilliant question. Thank you so much. I felt like it was a really interesting power to give Carrie, the fact that she is so sweet and she's so sort of on the back foot and prioritizing other people's lives rather than her own. I thought it was very interesting that is the power that she got. And I think she feels often very overshadowed by these people that she channels, because they're much more larger than life and out there. And it was a really interesting thing to explore, because it made me think, it was just an interesting thing to explore, because she's not that sure, I think, at the beginning of the series especially, of who she is, because she's so constantly having to channel these other people, and I think aspects of them sometimes confuse her about her personality and stuff like that.
That's I love it. Because she has such a sweet personality, and at the same time she gets to interact with all these strange, obnoxious spirits. So out of all the ghosts or spirits that Carrie had to portray or communicating with, which one would you say was the most fun experience for you?
Such a good question. I would say there's two that really stand out for me, and that is Colt Callahan, who's the country and western singer. I think because it was really fun to be able to be in the scenes with Jen and Máiréad and be a complete and be like a completely different person. Sorry, I think that was really fun. But then I also did have such a fun time playing Charles II, because
that episode of you.
I think because it felt so fun to play someone that I had absolutely no experience or like knowledge of where to start, and to have the opportunity to play him was really fun.
Such a tour de force. That episode from me. It's just amazing.
Those scenes in the gallery.
So, do you know my favorite detail as well is like how red wine lips you got.
It's perfect.
It's my favorite storyline, I think.
Honestly, the candles in the kitchen and the living room, that whole scene,
and your dress,
where you've got oh god.
Yeah, I love that scene. I was watching it, and it was just like, I couldn't believe what I was seeing, but in a good way. And speaking of Jen, I feel like she has such a bubbly personality, and even though she has no superpowers, she still is the star of the show. So with Miss Tyers, I have to ask, what according to you is Jen's superpower? Like, I know she does not have any superpower, but if you had to give it to her regarding some of her personality traits or something, what would you say is her power?
Oh my god. I guess I would say that like
that's
a really good question. I don't know. The first thing that came to mind is like the power of a friendship that is there in the show. I think like it obviously goes through its like peaks and troughs as the show goes on, but I think ultimately there's like such a deep friendship that she has, and that then she grows, let's say, with other characters as well as time goes on. And even though they might not necessarily like tell each other the whole time that they love each other, they show each other support by like doing the little things, which I think is very realistic. Do you know what I mean? It's like every day we don't, let's say, tell our friends how much we love them or how much we appreciate them and take them for granted, which she absolutely does in like episode 5 with Carrie, and she's like consistently done that over time. But I think like that is something as well, like I do like about Jen. I think she does have a desire to be better and like to improve. It's just like her insecurities and her she's lots of obstacles in her way that are holding her back, but ultimately she does yearn to be like a good person. And like the idea that, you know, of upsetting Carrie in F5 as she does is like quite harrowing. I think it like takes her by surprise that she had the ability to do that. But yeah, I don't know, I just think a bit more about that.
And if you could have the opportunity, like, what is the one thing that you wish you could take from your character and incorporate that in your own personality, as well as one personality trait that you wish Jen should incorporate from your real self?
Ooh,
Great question.
These are such good questions.
Gorgeous. I think something I'd love to give Jen is like I guess just like a bit more belief in herself. I think she just fully believes that she it doesn't have as much worth as other people, or doesn't deserve, let's say, to be happy. And I think like if I could just like instill that in her, which I think, you know, I mean, it's hard to be confident all the time, but like I think you just always need to have like just that tiny voice as like as a little bit of belief in yourself. And I think she has kind of a lot of blocks that mean that voice is kind of buried deeper down than it should be. And then I think, yeah, I mean, do you know what? I would, for me to be more like Jen, I would love to be able to read as much she does, as much as she does. She's got like books all over her room, which is like.
But I thought maybe Jen.
No, they're just tables.
No, but I
I
reckon Jen like could be such a good writer.
It's
Like
true.
in the same way that like I feel like Emma's voice is most found in. I feel like Emma's voice is most found in Jen. Like
yeah.
she might have because she seems to understand life in like quite a nuanced and like intricate way in a way that maybe like the three of us actually we have our characters maybe have a bit more of a two-dimensional understanding of life and what it requires, and you seem to be more, I don't know, be interesting, you know.
Yeah, because my attention span is shocking these days. I'm not very good at reading. Whereas Jen, I feel like she lives in her own little world a bit, which I think her imagination is quite good, and like the books are a part of that. So I just wish I could read as good as Jen.
That's a wonderful insight. Wow. Okay. And since we have just 2 minutes left, with Mr. Bilal, I hope I'm pronouncing it right.
Yeah, indeed.
Thank you. I was very scared of pronouncing all your names, by the way. But Kash, he, like, I don't know whether I love him or I dislike him. Like, there's that sort of neutrality in that character. And Kash is someone who has the ability to turn back time, and he often uses it to its own advantage. So if you had that power, and you could reverse time, so would there be anything that you'd like to go back in time and change about your character, or as well as the general plot line?
If there's anything I would like to change about Cash's plotline specifically.
Cash's plotline, the general plotline, anything about his character?
I think Kash, if he could turn back time more than 4 minutes and 30 seconds, would turn back time to the point where Jen brings the cat into the flat and take the cat away so the cat never goes. It's that Jizzlord, because Kash hates the cat.
Yeah.
So I think maybe that's what he would do. But if I was Kash, like if I was doing it to him, that's a hard question. I would probably tell him to stop turning back time because it doesn't help him and it actually doesn't perfect the situation. It makes things a lot more complicated, as we see in episode 8. And that he should just listen to those around him and what they want and what they need.
I hate you for saying that about Luke, but other than that, I'm very.
Yeah, you know what?
But,
yeah, I'd rent you out.
It's a wonderful show. Sorry. Yeah, I'm saying it's a wonderful show, and I'm so happy that I get to talk to you guys. I'm going to wrap up, but you guys are amazing, and this show is so good. I feel like it's going to have that response that you guys want, like you guys deserve. And congratulations once again on the launch of the show.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. That was such a
Bye. Have a great day. Bye.